everyone. Thanks for bearing with us for a few minutes getting this technology set up here. I swear every time it gives us a little bit different. Is that better? All right, great. It gives us a little bit different challenge here. But yeah, just want to say welcome. If you didn't get anything, please feel free to help yourself to refreshments, snacks, drinks over there. We're happy. Oh, I can see myself there. That's a little odd. All right. Yeah, we're really glad to be having this month's meeting, Fire Safe Council meeting here in the evening. We got apparently a great turnout. This is awesome. We normally host these meetings at 9:30 on Wednesdays in the morning. So we have a little different turnout then, but really glad we could do this today. Anyone I haven't met, I'm Allison Thompson. I'm the executive director here at the Yuba Watershed Protection and Fire Safe Council. Just want to welcome everyone I haven't met before and welcome, of course, everyone else back again. So let's do a few housekeeping things first because we are attempting to do this as a hybrid meeting. So there are folks joining us on Zoom. Unfortunately, the thing that isn't working today is our projector connection. So we are not able to see them up on the big screen, but we do have them over here. There are, do we know how many? We have 7 people joining us today through Zoom. So hello, Zoom folks. We'll get to meeting you in just a minute, but I'm glad you could be here as well. I think we did a check already. Can Zoom just give me one more affirmative? Can you still hear me? Does it sound good?
Yes.
That's a yes. All right, great. Thank you. All right, so, and that also is why we have this microphone set up here. The folks on Zoom cannot hear us without the mic. So for everyone in the room, if you have something to say, we're going to pass the microphone around. If you could talk into that, that'd be great for everyone else on Zoom to hear us. Let's see, what else do we have? Sign up sheet. If you haven't signed in yet, we will pass the sign up sheet around in just a minute. And folks on Zoom, if you can just put your name in the chat, share your contact info if you'd like, if you're comfortable doing that. I think that's it for housekeeping. I think now we can get started. So favorite part of the day, we can go around the room and do some introductions. I know it's going to take a minute with this big crowd, but I think it's really important for us to just kind of get to know each other, get to know who's at the table here. So we'll just keep it real quick. Just name where you're joining us from, what agency or organization you're representing, if you're from one of those fine places. And yeah, I introduced myself. So there we go. And just remember to speak into the mic. All right, thanks.
Hi, I'm Yannicka Allen. I'm the project coordinator for Yuba Watershed Protection and Fire Safe Council.
Hi there, I'm Brendan Anchors. I live in Oregon House.
I'm Louise Miller. I'm the principal of Yuba Environmental Science Charter, and I'm also a Wildfire Mitigation Review volunteer.
I'm Frances Anchors, and I'm just a homeowner and living in Oregon House.
I'm Gary Files. I'm a board member on the Yuba County Resource Conservation District. I'm also the program coordinator for the Wildland Fire Mitigation Review Program.
I'm Oscar Marin, Yuba County OES manager.
John Messick, Yuba County Supervisor, District 5 elect.
Frank DiNatale, Yuba County Fire Prevention.
Marieke Fernay, I'm Oregon Peak volunteer, and I'll be running for the Water District soon. And I'll be running for the Water District.
Charles Sharp, I own some property in Oregon House.
Live in Oregon House.
I'm sorry, I'm on mute. Jim Mathias from CAL FIRE. I'm the North Division Chief for the Nevada Yuba Cluster Unit.
Gabe Foster. I'm the acting division chief on the Yuba River Ranger District on the Tahoe National Forest.
Jeff Huckins and my bride Sandy, we are past residents of Yuba County and Oregon House, just recently moved back in the Sunnyside area.
Carol and Leo Ferraz, we live in Oregon House, Sunnyside.
Yeah, my name is Mike Lee. I'm a Dobbins resident. I currently serve on our fire district board for Dobbins Oregon House. I am also currently the chairperson.
Michelle Lee, residents of Dobbins resident.
Margaret Bindrup. I'm a resident of Dobbins and I'm the secretary for the Volunteer Fire Department Women's Auxiliary.
Linda Jeffords, and I am been a resident since 1977 of Dobbins and Oregon House.
Lisa Thompson with the Lake Francis Mutual Water Company and also representing the Lake Francis Estates ACC.
Hi, I'm Ruja Mahasesi, also from Lake Francis Mutual Water Company. And we are the, I suppose, the first Firewise community in Dobbins. And we're very glad to be here.
My name is Pam Cook. I'm on the board of the Yuba Watershed Protection and Fire Safe Council and your hostess tonight with them.
Thank you, Pam. Rodney, do you? Well, I do want to just say a huge thank you to Rodney, who's helping run the camera for us tonight. Hopefully that gives hopefully that gives folks on Zoom a little better camera angle than we've had in the past. Still nothing up on the screen, but
And on Zoom, we have Amy Kelly from the Eureka Mill Company, providing fuels reduction and tree services in North Lake Tahoe. And also Curtis, Duana, Leslie, and someone from Camptonville Fire.
great. All right. Well, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming out on Wednesday evening. We our goal for hosting this month's meeting in the evening like this was just to make it a little more accessible for folks who can't make it during the day. So I'm really glad everyone's here. We're going to try to keep it a little shorter than usual today because I think it's really important just to have time also to meet and mingle with all the important people who are here, which is everybody. So with that, we will move on in the agenda. So next up is public comment. This is a time we'll just open up the floor to anyone who is not currently on the agenda. If you have anything you'd like to address the council, that it, like I said, is not on the meeting agenda and is within the council's subject matter jurisdiction. We'll give you 3 minutes of the floor to speak now, and go ahead and raise your hand either on Zoom or here if you have anything to share. I saw that.
Hi there, I'm Brendan Anchors. We live in Oregon House up off of Manzanita Lane. And recently we had the watershed people came to our house to inspect and give advice for on our property, which they did and got some good advice. Fortunately, we were in fairly good shape beforehand. One of the officers or one of the members, before they left, they advised me that if a fire started, we should not evacuate and stay in place because our property would afford us better protection. Plus, the road leading off the property would be impassable. It's hardly passable right now. Now, to get to our house, you have to drive up Manzanita Lane, up over the hill. We've spoken to fire people before, and they cannot get an articulated piece of fire equipment over there. And this is a second means of egress and ingress for Region Way and that area. Now, I'm a retired plumbing contractor from San Francisco area. I've done some work up in that area, and I've spoken to some of the people that live there, and I asked them, how are you going to get out of here in the fire? And they said, oh, we're going to go down to Richard's Ranch. And I happen to know Tom Richard's son, and he was at a house recently, and he says, good luck. There's no way. He said, I can't get through there. So to me, it's another paradise waiting to happen. Now, over the years, we've researched. I got Dave Greenwald. He's the local surveyor, and Dave went over all the deeds of trust from our place and up farther out to Rice Crossing Road. And there's a 60-foot easement in place. It's on the map. As a matter of fact, UPS still drive up there and come to his gate. Anyway, we had Randy Fletcher came out 2 times, and Mike Lee, not that Mike Lee, the other one. But they came out and I drove them around, and Randy, he said, oh, this is really bad, and they'd never get in, nobody would ever be allowed to build here again. You can't get permits. And I drive through there all the time, and they're still building up there. So it's a really bad situation, and I would like to see that road being taken over. And along the way, the neighbors have put the fences out and this and that, and so it's a fire waiting to happen. And where the area I'm talking about is just past the gas station on Rice's Crossing Road. So as most of you probably know here, that the dangerous fire season in this area is when we get the northeast winds. I've experienced it. So a fire will just rip over that hill, and it'll be a travesty. So Randy was aware of it, and nothing was ever done. So I don't know. I wanted to just put that out, that you people know. Thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to speak.
Great. Well, thanks for sharing that. I think unfortunately that's a reality all over the foothills. So, but yes, we're all working. Totally. All right. Anyone else for public comment? Back there, and then we'll go over here.
Hi, I'm Jeff Huckins, and I said earlier that we're recently new residents, being old residents of Oregon House, and we live on the end of Sunnyside Lane. And I'm sorry to take everybody's time up on this. I feel like we should have come to a meeting or two before we started talking about what we want to express. But what happened when my wife and I moved into Sunnyside Lane, we quickly realized that there's a dilapidated bridge on Begonia Way, and there's no ingress and egress. And so with that, a group of us neighbors on Sunnyside, Leafwood, and Begonia started clearing all those roads the best we can. But we're here to meet all of you officials to start dialogue, to figure out how we can work together to do a better job on that bridge of Begonia, maybe some sort of non-flammable surface, work for clearing the roads, finding a better ingress and egress. Should we have a ultra emergency, we can't get people out. And also there's a large communication problem in that area, that our cell phone companies don't reach down in those holes. And most of our residents don't get the code red notifications. So there's a group of us here. There's many of us that couldn't be here. And we want to show you that it's time for us to start the dialogue with you and to find the solutions to protect lives. Thanks. So if you go up LaPorte Road, right past Willow Glen Cafe, approximately a half mile, on the right-hand side, the east-hand side of the road, it's Begonia Lane. right there, there's a bridge. You follow that up the hill, and then Sunnyside cuts down to the right and drops down. It doesn't make it near the creek, but that's the general area. Yes.
Hello, Charles Sharp. I believe on Yuba County's at a recent board meeting, they had some funding set up for improving Manzanita Lane. And you might want to check into that. I said, it's about time.
Henry Knapp from here. I'm wondering, just something that can spot a wild.
Is that coming through? Did you want to answer that or? Okay, the question was about the alert wildfire cameras. Yes.
So there are, I think probably 5 or 6 cameras up in the hills up here right now. I know one of the cameras spotted the first fire on Bayberry. That got called into the ECC, and it was spotted right at our second fire last Friday on Bayberry. And so the ECC was on it, given updates already. They actually had 4 fires burning when they got there, when the IC got there. So the cameras are good. I wish there were more of them down a little bit lower, pointing different directions. There are some in Butte County that are pointed this way also. So there are quite a few up in the hills and around this area. Touching also on Manzanita Lane, I did drive up there a few weeks ago, and there is some work that needs to be done. The public works is very, very, very shorthanded right now, and they're trying to get people hired to start some of their projects that they have earmarked and that they have the money for. So I think they've got a couple people hired, which isn't enough. They want to hire somewhere between 6 and 8 to start some of these projects. So kind of bear with the county right now because they are shorthanded to get some of these projects going. And hopefully they can get some people hired. We can get some of the projects going on that. Also, any, excuse me, any code enforcement issues. They lost their code enforcement leader. He went to the sheriff's office. He just started the academy last week. Jeremy just hired 2 new code enforcement officers, so they're up to 4 again, or 4 or 5, I think 5. Yeah, 5. So any code enforcement issues, they'll be out and about. I'm the only fire prevention officer for Yuba County. I work closely with CAL FIRE out of Loma Rica and Smartsville. We've been working together and talking quite a bit and trying to get some stuff done. So that's a quick, in the nutshell, update on that. Yes. No, 2. Yeah, 2. Yeah, they lost 1, hired 2, so they're up to 5. Jeremy Strang is the director for code enforcement. He's in the sheriff's office. That's where his office is at. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yes. Yeah, Yuba County Code Enforcement. Well, they work out of the sheriff's office. That's where their office is at. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they were shorthanded too, so hopefully stuff will start picking up. Yeah, I've been helping him on some of the stuff too, that up in the hills, so we're trying to get stuff done.
I saw one in the back and then we'll get to you.
Hello, can everybody hear me? I have a tendency to talk softly. My name is still Mike Lee, and can you hear me? And we currently operate a series of watchtowers here throughout the area. I serve on one, and I'm certainly not an expert on the fire tower watch, but I do know it seems to be very effective when we have people up in the tower. Tuesday before last, when the Rice fire started, Pete Hammondtree and myself were in the tower, and we actually were the first ones to spot it and report it. It can be effective, I believe. I don't know how well the cameras work. They seem like it's a new technology and could be very effective if we have enough of them. But right now, we could use more people doing tower watch, and it's a 4-hour stint. I work for one day a week. Gary, you're doing 1 day a week too, and Pam does a week. So okay, you know what I'm talking about. At this point in time, until they get more cameras put in place, I believe that would be the most effective way. And we can see a lot from the cameras. I mean, from the tower. Okay, thank you. At the top or the bottom? Oh.
So
Hi, Carol Farras, the Sunnyside Lane people. And I'm wondering, I have a question. I'm wondering if there are any grants available that we could apply for that would help us clear the road into our development. And also if there are any grants available to help us pave the rest of the road up to our properties.
great questions. To the first question, yes. Depending on what you're wanting to do, we're actually going to do a quick little presentation in a few minutes about some of our cost share programs and our programs that we have available. To the second question on paving, I'm not aware of any paving grants myself, but we are taking notes on everything. And if we, again, the squeaky wheel, we're taking notes. So if we hear what the community needs, we're on the lookout for additional grants, additional support. So yes, that's another thing we're going to talk about in a minute, is forming a Firewise community, like Gary said. It does, we'll get into that a little bit, but it does make your community potentially more eligible for additional grant funding. So I definitely encourage everyone to become a Firewise community. Is that direct response to this? Okay. And then I saw one over here.
So on the, you guys are asking about the fire cameras. So if anybody can look at the cameras, you can just go to alertwildfire.com, and it's also an app. And you can bring up all the cameras and go to the Greater Tahoe is for our region, and Shasta Modoc will give you all the cameras in this area.
Did I see a hand over here? Yeah.
So Carol just mentioned paving. I know that's unusual to hear about that here, but we have a very steep grade. And so for fire apparatus to get up it, it's tough because it's gravel. And then also for evacuation, it's very tough if we're in an emergency and we're pulling horse trailers, house trailers, trailers with our furniture and everything else. It's kind of a tough deal. So we look at it as it could be one of those benefits to life save to get rid of the gravel road in the area.
Sure, good point. Totally. I'm not aware of any grants that would cover paving off the top of my head, but I don't know that they exclude them either. So we'll keep a lookout for things that could help that. For public comment. All right.
The way to change anything is with your elected officials. So if you don't like the laws that are before you and the ways that government runs, then the way to correct that is to talk to your elected officials. So that's just a comment about the roads. I have some others to the other things when it's my turn, but anyway, that's a heads up on that. And I think it's important enough. I hope you don't mind. Let me just answer this one right now, where you talked about somebody told you not to evacuate. Please, when you're told to evacuate, please evacuate. That you were given some bad information. And I can't emphasize that enough. You were given bad information. When you're told to evacuate, please evacuate, do that, get out. And for your evacuation, I know that Code Red doesn't get to everywhere, but the sheriff's office doesn't just leave it to Code Red. When there's an immediate threat, they'll actually put boots on the ground. We will put boots on the ground as firefighters. The sheriff's office will go around with their high-low siren. They will also activate that. So you'll hear them coming. You hear that high-low siren, it'll come with a message to evacuate. So anyway, I'll get more into it later. Sorry to take your time.
On the issue of paving, up in Regent Way, there was a very steep gravel road, and with the help of the former supervisor, a group of house owners got it paved. So bother John Messick soon and start with Randy Fletcher now. My name is Marieke Fernay from Oregon House.
Yep, that's it.
You mentioned Code Red. I want to mention the Willow Fire. We got up the following morning and I came here to find out what was going on. And I came down to Begonia and there was Begonia on fire. All of our neighbors had been contacted, and boots on the ground. Our neighbor across the way said that the sheriff's office had come there and gotten them out. Nobody got us out. We were without power. We had no telephone. My cell phone doesn't work there. And we were just completely shocked.
So I'm her husband, and here's what happened. They saw our gates were closed. Now we have dogs. We have our gates closed every night to make sure that animals don't come into our property. And they apparently, we didn't know this because we're new to Oregon House at the time. And they saw the gates closed, so they figured we already evacuated. So if that's a policy or a thought process or something, I think someone needs to take a look at that. Now, another issue we have is just this last week, we were coming home, and everyone knows how to get to their home when the roads are clear, but they blocked Marysville Road. And they basically said, we asked the policeman who stopped the road, and we asked a very fair question: where do we go now? And they said, we don't know. We just can't let you go straight forward. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, shouldn't they have a map? Shouldn't they have a radio? Shouldn't they have some means to tell people, if you're heading north, this is a safe way to go. If you're heading south, this is the way to go. Take these roads. They knew nothing. And we end up driving, excuse me, all over the countryside, trying to figure out how to get home and not even really sure where the fire was. And this wasn't the first time. This was the other fire she mentioned. They sent us, we needed to go south to get free, and the intersection at Marysville Road, right there where the Ace Hardware store is, just down the street here. The fire trucks were all blocking the roads. The police were there. They refused to let us just make a left turn and go 100 feet to that intersection. And we had to go north, the totally opposite direction, then go west on roads we had no idea where we're going. And we could see the fires on both sides of the road as we're trying to figure out how to get to safety. So I think we wanted to figure out some easy solutions to making it easier. There's one thing to prepare for a fire. There's another thing that says, now the fire is here. And some simple things might be, when it's a dead end road, can't we put up a sign that says there's no access through this road? Because we're surprised that we're driving all over and there is none. And our GPS may or may not work. And if the people the policemen who are trying to help you don't know, then I think we need to fix a problem here. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, the evacuation's the job of the sheriff's office. I don't want to get in the middle of their world, but I will give you some of the answers that they would get. And the other thing I like to say is I'm really glad you're here, because we've been talking about this in several of these meetings for a long time, and we finally found a time where your schedule fits in. So welcome, and let me give you some of those answers. So gates that are locked, right? The sheriff's office only has so many people that they can dedicate to evacuating. So they're trying to triage and do the most good that they can. So it's one of those balancing acts that you run, and it's one of those risks that you take when you put up a gate. Sometimes it's difficult for us to get fire engines into you. Sometimes it's difficult for law enforcement to get into you, especially when they want to do it in a hurry. Now, I promise you, I will get through your gate in my fire engine if I have to. You might not like the results, but I'll get there. Okay. We will. If we need to get there, we'll get there. It's just going to take us a little while and you might not like the results. Anyway, so that's a risk you run, right? I think you understand that. So they are doing the best that they can to get as many people out as they can. And they might not be able to hit every single person. That doesn't mean that you're not as important as everybody else. But if they get 10 people out versus going through your 3 gates and getting 2 people out, that's the choice that they're going to make, I think, almost every time. So we have to figure out a solution to that, because there's no acceptable loss in a fire. There is not. We're going to do whatever we can to get people out. So you have to understand that they're doing the best they can with the personnel that they have. So that's the first thing. The other thing is that the Willow Fire happened, 2 years ago, something like that. They have come a very long ways with evacuation planning in this county. Our friends down here at OES have done exceptional work. They're involved in that. The sheriff's office is trained rigorously to improve whatever we did 2 years ago. We want to do it better. We know that there's a better way to do it. So they're working on that. The other thing is that we all have to take personal responsibility for our properties and our roadways. I hear a lot of private roads that are overgrown. Well, folks, the government can't fix everything for you. Yeah, and so you are. So that's great news. You're working on that. You're going to get that fixed the best that you can. So continue with that process. There's about 1 million other things that we can talk about. You're starting the process to educate yourself. So continue that. I'm really glad you're here. You're in the right place. You're going to hear a lot of good information tonight. The presentation that these folks tonight are going to make tonight, if you'll let them get to it, they're going to answer a lot of these questions that you have. The other thing is that please, on a day like today, where it's a great day to sit in your car with the air conditioner, even though gas is $42 a gallon or whatever it is, today is a great day. Tomorrow's a great day. There's no time like the present. Get in your car and turn left out of your driveway, turn right out of your driveway, and find some other routes in the daylight when it's clear so that you're more familiar with your area. You have a lovely wife. It'd be a beautiful time for you two to spend some time in the car, sing songs, go find other roads, find other ways to get out. So spend some time doing that. That's part of the personal responsibility. So, anyway.
Great. Thanks so much, Tim. Great, great points. Yes, one more, and then we should get moving on.
Just one other thing. When the sheriffs block the roads off, they're probably coming up from Oliver's, and they're dropped into that emergency situation. Yeah, and so it's a pain in the what, but they're actually pretty good guys with my experience, and for what it's worth. Absolutely.
Think you know everything, and then when you get there and you find out it's blocked, you know the way, but you can't go there anymore. So that's why I'm saying somehow we need to make it easier for not just me, but for everybody that is in a panic situation and being told you can't go this way, but you need to take care of your animals. You need to get home. You need to evacuate, whatever the situation is. I think there's room for some improvements. That's all.
Your story, because most of us have been in that situation. They can.
Okay, Zoom can't. But
Oh, sorry. Do I have to read?
nah, it's okay. Sorry, Zoom. Pam wouldn't take the mic. All right. Well, great. Thanks, everyone. Did we have any comments on Zoom? Let's just check in with them, make sure we're good. Looks like we're good there. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Next up on the agenda, actually, how did that happen? I don't know. Rodney just worked some magic, and now we got the computer to project up on the screen. So let me just move a few things around. But next up, Yannicka and I are actually going to give a little presentation like Jim was mentioning. Hopefully it's going to answer some of these questions for you. We wanted to take some time because we figured today we'd get a number of folks here who haven't been attending. Oh, that's weird. I can't look up there. All right. Well, look at all the rest of you. Figured we get some folks attending tonight who haven't been to the Fire Safe Council meeting ever, or at least in a long while, because I know we've had a lot going on with COVID over the past few years. And, we went to Zoom only. Now we're trying these hybrid things. It's been tricky in the mornings, I know, for some people to make our 9:30 weekday meeting. So Yannicka and I are just going to take a few minutes here. Thankfully, we are going to be able to project our presentation up on the screen. And we want to talk about some of the Fire Safe Council programs, what we have going on. We'll try to do a brief overview of most of it, and then we want to do a deep dive into some of our residential programs that hopefully a lot of our residents here, I mean, really anyone here, if you're a resident of the Yuba Foothills, you can take advantage of. So let's give us a second while we get that loaded up on the screen. Oh, are you going to be able to do it from here? All right, give us a minute. Right. Did I see a question over here? Can we dim the lights? That's a great question. Go ahead and try it. I think we've tried this before and it turns off too much, but let's try it. I don't know. Nope. What's this one? Our normal Alcoof tech guy isn't here today. So we'll work on that, but we can go ahead and get started. Oh, I think that's better. How's that? Yeah. Thank you. Good point. Okay. What do you need? All right. Great. So yeah, like I mentioned, Yannick and I are just gonna, you're fine there, Ronnie, whatever you need to do. Yannick and I are gonna tag team a little bit on, let me just check my notes to make sure we're in the right spot. So yeah, go ahead to the next slide. That's good. So I thought I'd just do a quick overview of the Fire Safe Council is and what we do in case there's anyone not familiar. Sorry for those of you who come all the time. But basically the Fire Safe Council is a nonprofit community group. We bring together local, state, federal agencies, nonprofits, local residents, and all preparedness and forest health in the Yuba foothills. We were formed in 1997 following the Williams fire. Some of you probably remember that. And then ever since, we have been implementing a wide array of fuel reduction projects and providing outreach and education about wildfire and wildfire preparedness to the community. So we did back in 2020, we became a 501c3 nonprofit. So relatively recently, and that has enabled us to tap into additional funding sources and really grow provincial program that we can bring to all of you and to support individual homeowners and residents. And that's in addition to some of these larger scale fuel reduction projects. So you can go to the next. Little lag. While that one's loading though, there we go. Okay, so you see a nice long list up on the screen. These are our current programs in a nutshell. So I like to break all of these out into the 4 categories you see there, just to give it some sort of organization. So like I mentioned earlier, in a few minutes, Yannick is going to dive a little deeper into those residential programs that you see up there. And I'll just touch on a few of the other ones here real quick. So just going through the list real quick, monthly council meetings, we're here. Obviously, it's a great place to get to know one another and learn about what's going on in the community and share our concerns. Next up there is a new online mapping tool that it's open to everyone to use. I know that one is really hard to, that link up there is really hard to read. We'll send that out in the notes, but feel free to check that out. It has some of our projects up there. It does need to be updated. We're going to do an update of the next bullet, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan, in the coming year or so. And then that mapping tool will be kept up to date with new planning and projects, that kind of a thing. Outreach. That is also a long list. Like I said, we do a lot of community outreach. I'll just go through those real quick. Some of you might have seen the annual calendar we put out. We are working on 2023 calendar right now. So if anyone wants to submit photos or join the planning committee, you're welcome to do that. Has a lot of great tips and tricks or not tricks, I guess, just tips and advice for preparing for wildfire. You might have seen the red flag warning flags out and about on red flag days. Those are just to warn everyone to be extra careful. Our screen is just resizing, that's cool. To be extra careful on those red flag days. Let's see. These other ones we can go through fairly quick. The tow chain covers, if you have a trailer. Some folks who are here, Pam? I think Pam was part of starting this project where they reuse old fire hose and put it, pass it out to folks with trailers, hopefully to reduce the number of sparks that we get from dragging trailer chains and reduce the subsequent fires from those sparks. Evacuation tags, I have one right here. That is hiding under here. If you guys don't have one of these might help in some of those evacuation situations. It's kind of the reverse of, I think, your gate issue. But when you do evacuate, if you hang this out on your mailbox or by your address sign, that lets the sheriff know that you have evacuated. So that helps give them more time to get out and evacuate other folks. So we have a stack of these over on the table. Feel free to keep these, keep them with your go bag, or I think we have some magnet ones also. I don't think we brought. You can like stick them on the inside of your mailbox. And when you leave, you just kind of flip them out on the front. So but there you go. All 3 gates. Yep. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, we have plenty of extra. You can take as many as you need. Last up on there is just our Yuba Youth Take Action. We've been working with some students to do some public service announcements. That's was a little tricky during COVID, so we're hoping to get that to pick back up again, that program. And then if anyone is not a part of our Facebook group, please do join that. We put out a lot of information about our programs and other things going on around the community related to the work that we do. So please do join that. Oh, and I'll just touch real quick again on, or one last time on fuels reduction. So you might have seen or heard some masticators this winter and spring. We have some great partners putting in fuel breaks up along Oregon Ridge and in the Brownsville area. And we actually just received another $320,000 to continue one of those fuel breaks down from Brownsville to Oregon House. So a lot of work going on there. And then roadside fuel reduction, we just received just about a month or so ago, a CAL FIRE grant for $1.5 million. Thank you. And thank you, CAL FIRE. So that's going to go toward roadside thinning, what we're calling an extended buffer. It's 150 feet on either side of county roads and 30 feet on either side of private roads, all pending landowner approval. We'll have to get all the access agreements, that kind of thing, but that's going to just give a much wider fuel break, improve egress and ingress. Yeah, that's getting started soon. So we were just awarded. We're hopefully, if everything goes well, we're going to start on that this winter. Did I mention where it was too? Maybe I skipped over that. Dobbins, Oregon House area, north of Marysville Road is phase 1 for this. That's where we got the funding for. We have actually newly finalized environmental permitting to do, I think it's 13,000 acres of roads. So basically all the roads in the Yuba foothills. So we'll get to that eventually. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of money, but we're working on that. And this Dobbins Oregon House area is going to be the first phase. So we're really excited about that. I could talk about all of that forever, but I do really want to get to the residential programs that folks here can take part of. And for that, I will pass it off to Yannicka.
So one of our main programs is the Home Resilience Program, which is helpful for making your home more likely to survive a wildfire. There's basically 3 parts right now. The wildfire mitigation reviews, which Gary's instrumental in and involves volunteers going out and talking to you about your home. And then we also have a home hardening cost share program and a defensible space cost share program. So I'm going to get into those a little bit more. So the wildfire mitigation reviews, again, it involves a volunteer coming out and walking around your home with you, pointing out vulnerabilities, basically areas that you could improve to reduce the risk that your home ignites during a wildfire. So you come away from this review with a list of areas that would be worthwhile to address. And if you go on and do make some upgrades, that's where our cost share programs come in. So this is the first step. You have to have a review done to be eligible for the cost share programs, and you can apply on our website, yubafiresafe.org. So a lot of the areas that you can make changes fall into the category of home hardening, which involves the materials and the way your home is constructed. So embers are what most often ignites homes. It's not necessarily that the fire comes up to your home, but that embers are thrown and get into weak and vulnerable spots and then catch more of the house on fire. So for example, one thing that falls under home hardening is putting a finer mesh over your vents to keep more embers out. So that would be one example of something that if the review recommended, you could go ahead and make that upgrade and then go onto our website and apply for a partial reimbursement. So this is something we have funding for this year. So this summer is a great time to get some work done, and you can get 50% reimbursement up to $2,000. Yeah.
What is required to receive reimbursement? Receive?
Yes, so we require before and after photos, and so you need to pay to have it done, and then later we send you some reimbursement. We have some flyers with specific info, and there's all of the program eligibility info on our website. I don't want to get into too much of the nitty-gritty because we're keeping it brief for the meeting. So we have a separate set of funding for Defensible Space cost share projects. So you can apply for the home hardening cost share reimbursement, and you can also apply for this. So this pertains to stuff that is outwards from your home. So generally out to 100 feet is considered to be the home ignition zone, although it can vary depending on the terrain. So again, once you have that wildfire mitigation review done and you look at what has been recommended, you can go in and make some of those changes and apply for reimbursement. So again, it is very similar to the home hardening program in that you can get 50% reimbursement up to $2,000. And this funding is also specific to this year. So again, this summer is a great time to do this. You have to get a review done first to be eligible, and all the details are on our website. But you do need before and after photos and to submit receipts. So those were the home resilience program components, but one of our other programs has to do with reflective address signs. So one of the common themes that has come up during the public comment section has to do with in the event of an emergency. So whether it's a wildfire or a different emergency, having a clear address sign is very important so that people can actually come help you, whether it's an ambulance or other personnel trying to reach your address. If you don't yet have a high visibility address sign, you can go on our website, yubafiresafe.org, and fill in your information under the address sign section to request one of these. They can be done either in the horizontal orientation or vertical. And if it's vertical, you have the option of having it attached to a post. So generally the address sign goes at the end of your driveway so that you can be found easily. And we do suggest a $20 donation per address sign if you're able, just to help keep the program going, but it's not required. And you get the option of picking it up at either Cal Fire Loma Rica, the Brownsville Foothill Fire Thrift Store, or the Dobbins Oregon House Fire Thrift Store. And we partner with those places to drop off the signs and then notify you when they're ready for pickup.
Great. All right. You can hear me. Great. So thanks, Janica. And I just, can we minimize that? Sorry. I'm getting weird. We need to do updates. I just wanted to touch real quick on the Firewise program. We kind of brought it up earlier briefly. So Firewise USA is a national recognition program, basically encourages neighbors to work together to build individual, but also more importantly, build community level wildfire preparedness. And like Ruja mentioned, Lake Francis Estates was the first Firewise community in Yuba County. They are currently still our only one. We have another area up Pendola area is working toward that, but Lake Francis is our first and only so far. We would really like to improve that. I believe, I don't know the number that Nevada County has, but they have a lot. They have a lot. So it's a great program just to get, help, both educate your neighbors and yourself. And also it's basically a process that works you and your neighbors through creating an action plan. You assess your current situation, see where you're at and what you need to work on, and then you create this 3 to 5 year action plan. And then actually to stay as active as a Firewise site, you have to make progress on that action plan. So it's very minimal time requirements, but you can host community work days or put a certain amount of money toward hiring someone to do the work for your community. And that keeps your Firewise recognition status up. Our internet is unstable. That's cool. Is there a question? You got it? Awesome. Perfect. So you guys have got that confirmed. Okay, great. So yes, I've been hearing. Yes. Yeah, so I've been hearing that they've been working on Firewise communities get specific insurance discount, and Lake Francis has 8 to 10% discount. State Farm. Okay. Okay, State Farm 8% and California Fair Plan 10% discount off your whole premium with that community Firewise recognition. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Thanks, Gary. Yeah. So Gary was saying the state insurance office has a list of all the insurance companies offering discounts, and a lot of them, I think they're more all the time, they're adding specific discounts for Firewise communities. So that's just an additional benefit in addition to being more prepared and working together with your neighbors. You also can get discounts on insurance, and I've heard some about potential grant opportunities coming up as well that will be specifically for Firewise communities. Any questions on that? That's a whole nother process we could dive into, but I don't think I will for now. But definitely contact us. It does largely have to come from the neighborhood, from the community, you have to do it yourself, but we are here to help and assist in that process. We've done it. We've helped a bit. We've helped Lake Francis a bit. Yeah.
So I don't know how big the communities are, but you really only need 8 households to be on board to get started. And then we can slowly, our plan is to have meetings with our ACC and get more households to participate. And then to have sort of work days where we visit different households, especially those, the elderly who need help. And we have a 3-year plan to implement the suggestions. So I think it's very feasible, not difficult, highly recommended, especially for that insurance rate.
Great, thanks. Yeah, no, thank you guys. And also to emphasize too, it's the Firewise like program. It's not saying that you need to be all prepared for wildfire. It's just saying that you recognize that it's an issue and you want to work on it. It's not about being perfect at all. It's just making progress. So I think that's where we'll leave that on that. We'll let
All right, so just to go over some ways you can go forward after this meeting. If you're not already on our email list, anyone can sign up on our website, or we'll be going through the list for the sign in that you did for today. But if anyone you know wants to sign up, it's a good way to stay informed about the monthly Fire Safe Council meetings. Also on the website, yubafiresafe.org, you can go ahead and sign up for a wildfire mitigation review. And then after you do some upgrades, you can request cost share reimbursement for defensible space and home hardening. You can go on there and request a reflective address sign. And we also have a spot to submit photos for our annual calendar. So we're looking at doing a little photo contest. So if you are interested in winning a prize, that's another great reason to submit a photo. I'll get a little more into what we might be looking for later. So there's a variety of ways to keep in touch. This kind of came up earlier, but we do have an active Facebook group. You can also follow our Facebook page and check out our website. You can also reach me with questions by emailing programs@yubafiresafe.org, or I can give you a card later. So those were some things you can do focused on your own sphere, but we also love having volunteers help out with some of these bigger projects. So it would be great to have someone help cut zip tie tow chain covers, which Allison mentioned earlier, and you can see in the photo, there's the upcycled fire hose covering the chains to keep them from dragging and sparking. We also are looking for help potentially stuffing information into folders that our volunteers hand out at those wildfire mitigation reviews so that the resident has lots of resources to go forward with. We recently had a training to train more people to become wildfire mitigation advisors. But if you're interested in becoming an advisor, there are ways to get you trained going forward. And we're also looking for people who might be willing to help out with the reflective address sign program. If you live near one of the pickup locations and can volunteer periodically to check in and see which signs are left, that's super helpful to then be able to call people and just talk to them if they haven't yet picked up their sign. So that was just an overview of our programs. We also have a compilation of this information in our programs guide over on the table. And again, lots of info on our website.
Great. Any questions? Great. Well, thanks everyone. Thanks, Yannicka. I recognize it is getting a little late, so thanks everyone for sticking with us. We're gonna dive into our partner reports now. I think we still have a great number of partners here. I was really glad everyone's here so late after normal work hours. So let's dive into that. I'm gonna go down our normal list. I think we just temporarily lost Forest Service, so maybe we'll go to CAL FIRE.
Thank you. I'll try to be as considerate as I can with your time, but I kind of have a lot of things to say, but I'll talk fast. If I talk too fast, slow me down. So as far as activity in the Nevada Yuba Placer, first of all, I'm Jim Mathias. I'm the North Division Chief, which it doesn't mean anything to a lot of people that don't know what that means. That said, I'm operationally in charge of Nevada County, Yuba County, Sutter County, and the western slope of Sierra County. So I got all of that. And then the Washington Ridge Conservation Camp and our National Guard crew. So that's me in a nutshell. Let's start talking about our activity that we've had in the Nevada Yuba Placer unit over the year since January 1st until now. I'm going to report some good news. We are down 23 fires from Monday morning this time last year. So that's good news. So last year in 2021, we had 23 more fires than we have right now, and we're down 219 acres. So all of that is really good news. Doesn't mean anything to anybody that was down right at the Bay Fire, because that was pretty scary, right? That Bay Bridge Road in Marysville Road is kind of where, or Bayberry, I'm sorry, in Marysville Road is where that fire started. It ended up being 30 acres, and it started on July 8th. So we're still working on a cause on that. That's still under investigation, but it is fully contained and it's extinguished. The other big one that we had is the Rice's incident, which started in Nevada County, and that was a structure fire that extended into the wildland. And as luck would have it, all of my folks were on their way to another fire. So as I was going to that fire, I was the closest unit and the first one on the ground at that fire. So great job, Jim, letting that go to 904 acres. Holy cow. Yeah, it was a fast moving fire up a pretty steep grade in some very dry stuff. That started on June 28th. And some of the problems that we had with that we're seeing, I'm sure Gabe's going to talk about, he's seeing too. And all of our fires around here, we are just having a lot of spots that are outrunning our air tankers. And we're pretty lucky here in Yuba County to be as close as we are to the Grass Valley Air Attack Base, and Chico's on the other side of us, and McClellan's not that far away in air miles. I mean, we hammered that thing as hard as we could hit it. The air attack, which is the guy that kind of coordinates the air folks there, he got there probably 4 or 5 minutes before me. And he had already ordered 4 more tankers, 2 of our S2s and 2 heavies out of McClellan by the time I got there. And so that's when I knew I was in for some challenging hours ahead. So we did all that. And that was our problem, is the spotting. And we're seeing that. We saw that on the Bay Fire. We saw that on the Rice Fire, and we're seeing on every single fire that we have. So the conditions are very dry. It's very hot. I think everybody knows that. One of the good things that came out of the Rice's fire, though, we were concentrating on keeping it in Nevada County and not allowing that dirty Nevada County fire to come over here to Yuba County. So just kidding. We got very lucky that it just did not come across the river and into Yuba County, but the whole time we were preparing for that. We had contingencies of forces over there. The Forest Service had a bunch of stuff that they were holding up around Bullard's Bar in the Camptonville area, and they were ready to come out and help us if we needed that. We also were able to create a lot of contingency lines for anybody that's driven up there and seen the area up there. We took a lot of dozers and hand crews, and if that fire did jump across the river, we found some good places that we could create some fire lines. And so those are in existence today with, all the work that happened on the fire. And it'll be good for the rest of this year. Obviously, we'll need to maintain it and then do some damage control and that kind of stuff to avoid erosion later on. But anyway, those lines are in, and that's great news. The other thing I wanted to talk, a couple of problems that we're starting to see out there with wildfires. Believe it or not, a lot of people are pushing the Assembly Bill 332, and I don't know if you've heard about that, but that's basically has to do with ceremonial fires from some of our Native Americans. It's a good plan. It works very well, but some people are abusing that system. Believe it or not, we're having some people saying that they're going to do ceremonial fires yesterday and today, and they've done them in the last couple of weeks, and they're threatening to do them later, which, we actually had one today that was pretty good. It was in the Scotts Flat area, and it was truly what a ceremonial fire is supposed to be. It was the size of a campfire. They had lots of clearance. They had water around it, and it was a tribe celebrating the biggest, I didn't know it was this, but it's the largest new moon of the year. So great celebration. They had a good time. They had everything controlled. It was exactly the way that it's supposed to be. Other people are abusing that, and so we want to be very careful with that. A 5-acre broadcast burn on Sunnyside Lane is not a ceremonial fire right now. It's the wrong time of year. It's the wrong area to do it, and that kind of stuff. So we want to be careful where we're doing these things and what we're doing with them. So just keep an eye out for that, and let us know if you're experiencing or hearing any of that talk in the area, because we want to put a stop to it before anybody gets hurt or before your property gets damaged. That's one of the things I want to talk about. The other thing is the 911 calls. During the Rice's incident, they did over 1,200 911 calls in less than 12 hours. So that's people that are very concerned. And if you feel like you need to call 911 because we're not aware of a fire, we would love to have that happen. But understand that we have 5 people in our dispatch center that are handling 1,200 911 calls. And it's very difficult for them to dispatch resources, call for other out of the area resources, put together a plan, and run the everyday 911 calls that they have to run throughout the Nevada Yuba Placer unit when everyone picks up the phone and calls 911 to see if they should evacuate. If you feel like you should evacuate enough to pick up the phone and call 911, you probably should evacuate. Just saying. So anyway, be real careful with that. And we need some help policing yourselves. Please, if you need to call 911, don't hesitate to do it, but just be cautious with when you call 911 during a large incident. If you need to do it, do it. We're there to help you, but we want to avoid too many calls. Last thing I wanted to talk about is our budget in the state of California. The governor signed that. We're still going through some committees, what it means directly to us here in the Nevada Yuba Placer unit. Currently, our status of equipment, we have 22 engines, we have 3 bulldozers, we have our air attack and our 2 S2 tankers out of Grass Valley, and we have 5 hand crews that are available to us immediately. We also this year got an exclusive use helicopter. That's a Type 2 helicopter, similar to the Hueys you see in the Vietnam era. It carries, anywhere from 500 to 700 gallons of water. So it's a pretty good, capable ship, and it's in a tank underneath it. We also got an exclusive use helicopter of an S-60 Blackhawk that's going to be out of Truckee. So that carries 1,000 gallons in its tank, and it's going to be based out of Truckee. So that was some good things that the budget gave to us. We also made permanent our California National Guard hand crew, and great round of applause there. That's really good. Yeah. That is just a super good tool for us to have out of the Nevada City area. So they were, with this budget, they were put in permanently. So we'll have them for years to come. And another great thing specifically for this area of Yuba County is that we were able to convince them that we needed a battalion chief to work opposite of Rob Barsh. So Rob Barsh is your normal everyday battalion chief here, but he cannot work 7 days a week, 365 days a year, as much as he'd like. So I need somebody to work opposite of him. And we have been filling it in with our various other battalion chiefs who do a good job, and they're very capable. But to have somebody that's stationed here in this remote area to know about the bridge on Begonia Yeah, I wrote that down, but I can't read my own writing. For him to know about that and to know about your roadways and your 3 gates, that's going to be really good to have that 2nd battalion chief that's stationed up here. So that's going to happen, and that's getting implemented as quick as we can have it. So thanks for your time, and thank you for my job. I appreciate it.
I gotta follow that up, huh? Round of applause. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. So I'll start out with what we've got going on for staffing. Again, I work on the Yuba River Ranger District, which has a small piece of Yuba County here, Camptonville, Pendola area, and then Sierra County, Nevada County, and a tiny bit of Placer up there as well. So I'll kind of focus on what we've got down on this side near Camptonville. Right now, we typically have 2 engines, one staffed in Downeyville, one staffed in Camptonville. Currently, our engine in Downeyville is down on the Washburn Fire in Yosemite National Park. So we still have our Camptonville engine on. And then we also have a hotshot crew that's right at Bullards, but they're currently in Alaska. So we do have a cover crew that's on right now from Firestorm, and they've been on since the Rice's fire. And they're going to continue being on for another about 2 weeks after this, and then we'll kind of assess from there. And that's kind of the way we work, is all of our resources are available nationally. So when there's fires anywhere, they can go anywhere, and then we have to try to backfill and try to pull from other resources, from other forests, and from other states a lot of the times to come in and backfill so that we can continue having our staffing. So that's what we've got right now for our engines on this side. And then we also have a helicopter that's currently stationed in White Cloud. They're also a cover helicopter because our normal helicopter is also in Alaska. So we're backfilling with them. And then we have a Type 1 that we're storing up in Truckee for the year. Hopefully they're going to be with us for the year. So that's kind of what we've got going on right now with staffing. There's some movement going on within the Tahoe National Forest. We have our current Chief 1 is retiring in a few weeks. We've got a new one coming in. He's Chief 2 up on the Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit. His name's Kyle Jacobson, and he'll be coming in here shortly. Currently, Eric Rice, who is typically in the position I'm in right now, is detailed into our Chief 2 position, and we'll be looking to fill that permanently probably in the next coming month or so. And then we'll kind of see how that all moves out. And so typically I'm the fuels specialist on the North Yuba. And right now I'm filled in on this Division 3 position. So other happenings going on with the forest fuels reduction stuff in the area. I've talked to most of these people about this, but we have a very large project called the North Yuba Forest Partnership. And it's a watershed scale environmental analysis to do fuels work and timber work in the whole North Yuba watershed. So it's about 278,000 acres that we're looking to analyze. So we're kind of in the environmental analysis phase of that, but it's getting a lot of publicity. And we've got this wildfire risk reduction team, which was just recently set up with the Forest Service. And we're getting Washington office and regional office representation coming to look at our project and to tour around the area. They're going to be actually up in the Camp and Pendola area, looking at projects that we've done in there. So the good part of that is that a lot of the times with recognition like that comes funding. And we've already received quite a bit of additional funding for fuels work through the bipartisan infrastructure law. And that's going to be a 10-year funding that we have for that, as well as the CFLRP money, which is another source of funding that we got for this project, which is another 10-year funding source as well. So we're trying to move forward with the North Yuba Forest Partnership so we can finally start getting some work done on the ground. But right now it's in that environmental analysis phase. As far as the projects that are happening right now, the Trapper project is based around Camptonville, Slayville House, and then up Ridge Road, Pike in that area. And we've got about 1,300 acres of fuels work, hand cut, hand pile, mastication, and some track chip work that we're getting done. The contractors are hoping to start around September 1st to start doing that work. So it'll be nice to get that going. We also have a project going in Pendola area, which is about 350 acres of track chip, hand cut, hand pile, And that's currently ongoing as well. We're starting to run into the time of the season where we can't run machinery as much. When we get into a certain level of fire danger, we can't run the machinery anymore, at least for the full day, just due to the fire danger that's out there. So it kind of slows down this time of year as far as that project work goes, but it's still going on right now. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was with the Rice's fire. There were a lot of great takeaways out of that. And there was a lot of really good cooperation that was going on between, we were talking with Chief Matthias and our forest, and then with the Plumas as well. We were having daily meetings, talking about, how the fire was going and, what strategies we can use to help out here. And so the Plumas and the Tahoe both set up contingency branches that were separate of the fire, but in coordination with their incident management team that was working there. So they knew what was going on. And we just set up our own operations within the forest in case it got established down in that drainage, knowing that it could push up towards Oregon House, and then it would also push towards Bullard's Bar in Camptonville area. So we took the opportunity to get a lot of crews in and do some contingency work, open up some old roads. There was a lot of work that was done with Cal OES, and there were some good conversations that came out of it with Yuba County as far as opening some of these roads, just like you were talking about, that are sort of these old, overgrown, abandoned roads that are, the best ingress, egress possibilities that we have in some of these situations. So there's some work ongoing with that. And out of that, we've continued doing some fields work along Marysville Road and along Moonshine Road. So we've got a lot of work going on in there right now. We have a Firewise assessment, like Allison was talking about, in Camptonville on Saturday for the Pendole area. So we'll be attending that. And I think that's the end of my report.
Thanks, Gabe, and thanks, Jim. Thank you both for all that you do for our communities. Shall we go to OES next? Let's do that.
Go ahead and go. Start.
And I do recognize it is after 8, and we said we would go till 8. So I apologize. We're going to keep going if everyone's okay with that. If you have to take off, thank you for being here. But let's keep going. Yeah.
So report with me. We noticed the code red spots that people have been bringing up this last Bayberry fire. We've ran into some spots that people are not getting a notification. We are working with code red, and we're trying to figure out if it's the cell towers that are not reaching out. They have to bounce back. We're also getting we're working with Yuba County SO to have more training on code red, and basically we'll start submitting IPAWS notification. FEMA has a broader reach in towers. They don't follow the same rules of certain providers do with cell phone service. Verizon only uses certain towers. They're only allowed to use certain towers. When we dispatch a message through FEMA, it's a broader spectrum. We could cover a lot more area. We also noticed at the Bayberry fire where we're trying to kind of run in. There are the situations we're running into is Cal OES kind of switched to wording a little bit on us when it comes to evacuations of get out. So Zone Haven, this is where Zone Haven comes into play. Zone Haven was initiated 2 years ago, primarily after the Willow Fire to help assist with the evacuations. So Yuba County SO will send out, when they arrive on scene, they're working in tandem with the ICP, Incident Command Commander on scene with fire, and they're working in tandem to figure out which roads need to be evacuated. We'll set up evacuation zones. Evacuation order is a primary life-threatening. You need to leave when you get an evacuation order. If you're in that zone, it's important to know your zone. We're trying to promote that right now. If you don't know your zone, go to yuba.org and you'll get your zone there through Zone Haven. Evacuation warning will show up as yellow on the map. That warning basically means get your go bag ready and get ready to go. If you have law, and like Chief Messiah is saying, this is our personal responsibility. If you have lots of livestock, you need to start evacuating now. If you have a means of egress that's very limited, you got to go slow, leave now. Don't wait for the order because the order could sometimes be too late. Where OES is now working with the health department, and we're working with, like I said, with OES punching out information as the information is coming through in the fire. We're setting up evacuation zones. I mean, not zones, evacuation centers right away. As soon as the zone haven gets plotted and goes out, we have evac centers already mobilizing. If we have a fire up in this area in the Oregon House, Dobbins area of Rices, depending on where it is, Camptonville during the Golden Fire, we set up an evac center here at Alcove Center. Anywhere else in the county, north side and all that, we'll set up an evac center at the Sycamore Ranch. The animal care posse for Yuba County opens up right away. So if you have livestock, large livestock, and you can't get it out, or you have needing more help getting more livestock out, that's when you need to start. You can contact the OES page. That's where we give you the information and the number to call. We don't need you inundating 911 system. They get inundated. Yuba County SO gets inundated. They only have 2 dispatchers in there trying to get all these calls in. So we're working diligently, and we hear the complaints that community is giving us. They want the code red more efficient. We're working on that. We're finding dead spots. If there's a dead spot and you don't get a dead zone, email, go to yuba.org, go to emergency services. We have a form there, fill it out, tell us your address, and we'll look that up, primarily your address, and check it with code red and make sure we'll test it out. We're doing that right now, trying to test out code red in multiple spots. I was unaware of these dead spots until it starts popping up and we're starting to fear it. We're working on it, and it's your voices are heard on further complaints and all that. Other than that, the only thing else I gotta say is the wildfire mitigation for like Chief McLeod says, I apologize whoever told you not to evacuate. Yes, evacuate. Don't wait, especially the roads right now. And no one should be. If you need help deciding on your exit routes and all that, how to evacuate and all that, you need to get with fire, SO, because they're the primary persons will tell you your excess means of egress in the house. Okay. Yeah. Well, that's why if you get an evacuation warning, not the order, leave. Yeah. I know what's in there, but so, and like I said, if you don't know, we are reaching out right now. We're doing a lot of community outreach. We're going to be doing at the Mountain Fair in August. We're doing the National Night Out down in the Lions Club. We're trying to reach out to every community event that we are out there trying to get the code red pushed. But the OES, we have a brand new OES team really pushing out notifications and all that.
On.
I think I mainly included it earlier.
Okay, great. So Yannicka covered our outreach education committee, everything. Thank you. That's like the one thing I'm going to cover. Pam is reading my mind. Yeah, so I basically covered everything except we just, about a month ago, we issued a request for qualifications for foresters for that, related to that CAL FIRE grant that we received for the roadside clearing. We did an RFQ for foresters for that project and for other upcoming projects that need to have an RPF, a licensed forester. So that first deadline just passed on Monday. So we are pulling together a committee who's going to be reviewing those proposals, and then we will be hiring a forester really soon. They're going to get going on the biological and archaeological surveys and landowner outreach, because I don't even have a total tally on the number of landowners on that project, but it is a lot and it's going to be a challenge. So they're going to get to work as soon as we get that person hired. And like I mentioned earlier, hopefully we'll get started on implementation on that fuels reduction work this winter, once we get a little bit of moisture. Seems a long ways off at this point. I think that's about it. Gary, did you want to touch on the wildfire mitigation reviews at all? I just wanted to mention that we have a lot. Totally. Thanks, Gary. So just to repeat for the folks on Zoom, we had our mitigation training. We had a COVID exposure. I don't think most folks didn't get it, but it just put a pause on us getting out to do any more reviews. That coincided with, there was like a week and a half period where we got 30 requests for wildfire mitigation reviews. So now we have a bit of a backlog, but we're working through those. So not to fear, everyone keep applying for those and we'll get through them really quick. And that training was really successful. We have a few more field, you call them field test visits for the trainees to get through. And then we'll have, was it 6 or 7 new volunteers who'll be able to do those mitigation reviews as well. Oh, the battery died. Perfect timing. The battery is getting tired. The camera's getting tired. All right. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Keep it real short and sweet. I know we're over time. Want to thank everyone for being here and sticking with us. There's just too much good stuff to talk about. So feel free to, you can take off if you need to. Feel free to stay and hang out. Keep eating snacks, refreshments, and feel free to mingle and all that. But thank you again so much for being here, sticking with us late. I think we had a great turnout for an evening meeting. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, folks on Zoom. I don't know if you can hear us still, but thank you. I see a thank you in the comments. Great. Have a great night.